Hey guys, so today we're going to go into the difference between water-based and alcoholic-based markers. And so you can see here, I'm just using a standard Crayola water-based washable marker, which is one of the benefits of Crayolas is that they wash out of clothes and that they are water-based. So as you can see here, there's only one nib on the Crayola marker. It comes in a round barrel. You can get very fat strokes with it and very thin strokes. However, you can't really get a middle range. And then as for blending, that is the one downside of the major downside I would say of water-based markers is that they don't really blend that well at all. And they dry out very easily, as you can see with the darker blue color. However, here's a set of Copic chows, and I'm going to show you how the alcoholic markers act. So with the Copic chow, comes in a round barrel, has the color name printed on the side. On one end it has a chisel end, and on the other it has a brush nib. So as you can see with the chisel side, you can get very precise broad strokes or very thin narrow strokes. And then switching over to the other side, there's the brush nib right there, and you can go from a very fine thickness to all the variations in between, which is the reason why I really like Copic markers is that their brush nib is so good. And the blending also works excellently, which I'll show you in a moment here. I'm just taking two greens right now and I'm going to blend them together. And the alcohol in the markers is what allows the colors to blend more easily, and you can layer up better than you can with water-based markers, because when you layer up water-based markers, you'll notice kind of like in watercolors when you use too much water, pilling can occur with the paper if you're not using heavy enough paper. And that's another reason why alcoholic-based markers are better, is because you can really build up the layers and values. And say you're doing a skin tone, you can add blush to the cheeks, you can add shadows to the sides, you can build it up without that pilling happening. But then the downside of the alcoholic based marker is that you will get bleeding through the back of most of any papers because the weight of the paper isn't heavy enough. And so this is a Copic sketch. It has an oval barrel and it has the name of the color printed on the top, which I prefer compared to the chow, which has it printed on the side, but the chow is cheaper, so that's what I went with in the end. This also has a chisel nib and a brush nib. And lastly, between the Copic and the chow rolls a little bit more than the Copic sketch because of the oval barrel. So that's one of the benefits of having the sketch marker compared to the Copic chow, is that it won't roll off the table as easily. And so right here I'm just showing you a couple more shades. But that's the main difference between water-based and Copic markers. Okay, now that we've gone into the differences between what a water-based marker is and what an alcoholic-based marker is, and I'm showing you the difference between Crayola and Copics, Copics are pretty expensive, so let's look into some alternatives that there are if you want to do art on a budget. So I've lined up around 10-ish different types of markers and the benefits of each type and some information about each one. And I'll throw a picture up on the screen of each type of marker as we go through. So let's get started. First we have the Copic Classic, and it has a square barrel. This is not I showed you guys the sketch in the chow, but I didn't show you guys a classic because I don't have one. This does work with the Copic airbrush system that they have. It comes in a range of 214 colors, and it holds more ink than both the sketch and the chow marker. And it has a variety of different nib options. You guys can go buy alternative nibs other than what it comes with. What it's provided with is a chisel and a fine point, but you can buy a brush nib for this marker. but you'd have to buy it and interchange it. So that's why I personally prefer the sketches, because it has that brush nib, but this one only comes with the chisel and the fine point, not the brush nib. The cost per marker is around $5.24, and the refill cost, if you buy the refill cartridges, is $1 per refill. And I couldn't find any in sets, so I didn't have any data there. Next up, we have the Copic sketch I showed you, which is that oval shape, and it is compatible with the airbrush system. It comes in a wider range of colors of 358. And in regards to the refills, you can do 12 refills. It comes with the medium broad nib and the super brush nib. I love the brush nib best probably out of all the markers I've tried on the sketch and the chow. And it also has the same cost of $5.24, 75 cents per refill, and the cost in sets is a little cheaper at around $5.23. But that's still pretty expensive per per marker, so that's why we're going into these alternatives, is not everyone can afford so expensive brushes. And the benefit about the sketch that I also like is that the name is on the top of the marker cap, and then in addition, the oval shape prevents it from rolling around on your workspace. Next we have the Copic Chow. It has a round barrel. It's not compatible with the airbrush system. It comes around half the amount of colors, 180. You can do 15 refills. It comes with that super brush nib and the medium broad nib. It comes in at $3.59 per marker, but in sets, oh my goodness, but in sets, it's only a cent cheaper at $3.58. So honestly, it might be better just to buy the individual colors you want than going out and buying a big set. But the benefit of the chow versus the sketch marker is that it's cheaper per marker, even though they hold less ink, so you can get a wider range of colors faster than if you went out and bought the sketch markers. So that's why I think it's probably, like, if you're going to go into Copics and you're just starting out, the chow marker might be the way to go, just so that you can get the maximum amount of colors that you want to use. And then lastly, we have the Copic Wide. I don't personally see a need for going out and investing in this marker, but it's quite big. It's flat in shape. It's just got 1 3/4 inch nib. It can take up to 7 refills with $1.29 per refill. If you need to fill in large areas, this would be the marker for you. But it only comes in 36 colors, so if you need to fill in a lot of area, this is great. But otherwise, I personally would recommend just going back to the chow or the sketch marker. So next up, we have the BLICK brush, and it's kind of got a hexagonal sort of shape, which I think is pretty cute. It doesn't come with none of these other recommendations are compatible with an airbrush system that I found. Comes in 96 colors, and there's no refills available for this brush, which is the major downside of it. It comes with the brush nib though, and the chisel nib, and it comes in at around $2 to $3 per marker. So still cheaper than the Copic though. And then you can buy that on the BLICK store, which I'll link in the description below. Next up we have, I don't know how to say this very well, OHUHU. It has an oval barrel, comes in 80 colors. You can't refill it though. It comes with a chisel and a bullet. These are available on Amazon, and they're only 50 cents per brush, which is the huge benefit, but it doesn't have that brush nib, which is the major downside to this product. Next up we have the Prismacolor brushes. They come in a sort of fat round black tube, come in 200 colors, which is amazing. They have a bullet and a brush nib. The brush nib feels a little bit different than the Copic markers though. It feels more like felt, but you can still get those variations in thickness of your strokes, which is a huge benefit, but I personally don't like the way the brush feels in comparison to how the Copic brush nib feels. And they also, I don't think you can refill these, but if you can, please correct me in the comments below. And these come in at around $3.50, and then in sets at $3.32. So with that, with it being so expensive per brush, and then next on in the Letraset, with those being so expensive as well, I think you should probably just stick with the Copic, with the huge brand that everyone always is talking about, just because since they're so expensive per set, I'd want to go with the name brand, and I'd want it to be able to be refillable. So next up we have Letraset. Comes in a round barrel, 200 colors, so great variety and selection there. You can refill these with around 10 refills per refill bottle that you buy. It comes with 3 nibs, which is the amazing part about this brush, is this marker brush, is that it has the brush nib, the fine tip nib, and the chisel nib, and they're hidden within one another. So it's got two nibs on one end and then one nib on the other end. And these come in at 60 cents per refill. So once you invest in these brushes, whether the Copics or the Letraset, the cost to refill the markers is significantly cheaper than purchasing just the marker all over again, which is the one benefit is that there's a huge overhead cost with purchasing these markers, but as soon as you overcome that and you have the marker barrel and you only need to refill it, the cost to maintain the ink levels in your markers is significantly cheaper than just going out and continually having to buy these markers. And next up we have the Spectrum Noir. Comes in a round barrel, 168 colors. It is refillable, but it only has the chisel and the bullet, and it comes in at $1.4 in sets and $2 individually. Because this does not have a brush nib, I personally don't see the need to purchase this when I could buy something way cheaper for the same quality, same nibs, but it's still an option that's out there, and with so many color options, it being refillable, there are a lot of benefits to this brand as well. Next up we have Darice. It has an oval barrel. It only comes in 24 colors. It's a set pack. Comes in the chisel and the brush, and they aren't refillable, but it's only 97 cents per marker. So I think if you're just starting out, this is a really good route to go, because you can get a whole set. It has that chisel, it has that brush nib, and you're ready to go already. You have a perfect set. And so if you're very new to alcoholic markers and you want to try them out and see how they feel, how they work before you invest in a higher quality marker, I think this is a very good introductory set to go with. And then lastly we have, I don't know if I can get this name right either, but it's called Bianyo. It has an oval barrel, 72 colors. It is not refillable, has that chisel and the bullet again. $3.99 individually, but 44 cents in sets for each marker in a special offer. So once again, if you want to go for that introductory set, you can't refill it, but it has that brush, so once again, if you want an introductory set, this is good to go, but it doesn't have that brush nib once again. But overall, these are all the options that are available. Once again, if you know that you're gonna go into this purchase using these markers over and over again, and that it's something you want to pursue, I would probably go ahead and just buy Copic markers, probably the Chow markers, but if this is something you're just starting out in and you want to just test the waters and see if you like it, I'd honestly probably go with the Darice or even with the OHUHU because they're so cheap, and just see how you like different markers, even if it doesn't have the brush nib. Just trying them out and working with them, playing with them, seeing how they feel, and just picking something that's right for you where you're at right now in your art journey. So those are all the options I had. I hope you learned a lot from this video. I will put all the links in the description below if you want to investigate each brand further. But I hope you learned a lot in the difference between alcoholic and water-based markers, and we can both move forward and progress together on our art journeys. So thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.